Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. This week, we have two guests, two entrepreneurs, a powerful story of resilience, of love, and faith. We have the motivational speaker and author and creator of the Reborn Resilience brand, Tiran Jackson.
Good afternoon.
How you doing, T?
Doing good.
And we also have the creator of the Random Whine, not just the wine itself, but the talk show. We have Miss Kaye Ellis with us. How you doing, Kaye?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Troy?
Doing wonderful. So, like I said, Kaye and Tiran, they have a remarkable story that we're going to share with you. And first off, let's kick it off with where you both are from. I understand, Ty, you're from rural Alabama, and I kind of have ties to Alabama, so I'm interested to find out where exactly.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town called Florence, Alabama. It's northwest Alabama, sort of where Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama come together. It's not much going on there. Everybody knows everybody, and yeah, it's not a lot of excitement going on. But that was where I was born and raised.
Okay, yeah. So I have family sort of near the Mississippi state line, Millport and Fayette. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I know where they are. They're about an hour and a half south of where I grew up.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah, kind of close to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Kaye?
I got a little rural in me too.
Whatever.
I'm from New York. However, I have some summers and some time. My mom's family's from Burlington, North Carolina. I know you know where that is.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes away from me right now.
I was dying to say that. So yeah. So
Nice.
Shout out to Burlington, right? Nobody ever calls out Burlington.
Yeah. The 336 in the building.
I'll go with that today. That's
So
right.
what part of New York?
So Brooklyn,
BK. All right. So, well, then we got to start with hip hop then. I mean, BK. So Biggie, between Biggie J and Big Daddy Kane. No Big Daddy Kane?
Well, yeah, of course, Big Daddy Kane, but then I'm telling my age.
Oh, okay.
So, and they say a lady never tells, right?
Right. So, it's your little secret. All right. So, so we found out that we have a country bumpkin and somebody from BK.
To say a city slicker.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Opposites attract. So
right. Yeah. So
okay. Make it work.
So just talk about your childhood as far as, academics and athletics and, some of the principles that your parents instilled in you growing up.
You want to go first?
Well, sure. I think overall I was a great student. So I actually have a nursing degree from UNC Chapel Hill. So I went through their nursing program, and I also have a business degree from Clark Atlanta. So I've been spending the majority of my time in IT because nursing really didn't fit for me. I spent some time working at Grady Memorial, was put in the burn unit, and decided that I really didn't want to be a nurse anymore. So met old boss of mine who said, you know what, IT would be a good field for you. So I've been doing healthcare IT for over 20 something years, consulting myself out to a lot of major corporations out here. So a lot of things that my parents instilled in me is just to just hustle, work hard, find what you love. And if it changes, just work hard at it. So, from nursing to IT to now having my own wine, doing the talk show, this is definitely a new chapter for me.
Nice. Ty?
So I'll go back a good ways. I can remember back in school, in elementary and middle school, being a real good student. I was coded gifted. I really had a knack towards math and science. And I even competed in these math tournaments when I was in middle school because I see numbers. I sleep thinking about numbers and all. So even back then, I could do math in my head and understood science without even really trying. So that helped me out through school. I never really struggled through high school. I was an athlete. I played football, basketball, ran track all through high school. And I actually got recruited to play football, but I decided not to do that. Luckily, being so strong in the math and science, I had the good grades. I was able to get an engineering scholarship to Tennessee State. So that's where I went to for undergrad. I used that because I didn't want to keep getting beat up playing football because that was happening to me back in high school. So thought I'd go have some fun, learn a lot of stuff at TSU, and use that to get my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. And I started out, once I got out of school, I started out as an engineer at Rolls-Royce and did that for a while. But going back to what you said, things that my parents and family, what they instilled in me, they instilled a tough type of love. Let me put it that way. They weren't really strong in pushing towards the academics. However, they didn't want me to fail. So they would let me hear from time to time when I didn't do things right or didn't do things well. And that sort of led me to motivate me into making sure that I was self-driven enough to at least focus on the academics. Because I knew it would, one, get me out of Florence, Alabama, and two, get me doing something better with my life than some of what I saw other people in that small town doing. So those were some of the things I took away growing up.
Can I just say that this is the first time I heard the brainiac part of it, and that he was labeled as gifted. So I didn't realize that I was just with a gifted brainiac.
Yeah.
Like, so now I guess I know who Pinky is. We're referring to Pinky.
Yeah, I was just saying. So, Ty, did you participate in quiz bowls or academic bowls or anything like that?
I did this thing. This is embarrassing. Okay, I did this thing called Math Counts, where they used to have, people from these schools, take these math tests in a certain amount of time and do this little thing like Jeopardy, pretty much answering questions. And I did it till I was one of the best in the state of Alabama. Now, take that for what it's worth. But even still,
I'll leave that up to you. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna take no dig on the state of Alabama.
I knew my stuff though. That was the thing. Like I said, it came natural to me, and I was trying to balance this thing about being a good student, but being cool and being an athlete and all of that through middle school and high school and all. So it's really what made me realize that I could do something with myself that wasn't necessarily related to playing sports or working or being a laborer or doing anything like that. So it definitely propelled me into doing bigger things in life.
All right. Okay, so you both spoke of attending HBCUs, Kaye with Clark Atlanta and Ty with Tennessee State. Just talk about your experience, attending an HBCU and how that shaped and molded you to being an entrepreneur.
Was a little different because I wasn't on campus. So
okay.
I was, I didn't spend the time on campus. So mine was very different.
Well, so, you can talk about Franklin Street. And
I wasn't on Franklin Street.
For Halloween?
I've been a couple times, but okay. Most of the classes I did for Clark were online though.
Okay.
So no, I got my business degree from them online. My aunt actually worked there. So it it worked out that way.
So I remember as far as my experience, I actually knew what I was getting myself into. Before I actually went to college, I went during summertime to different programs at different HBCUs focused on STEM, on science and technology, engineering, math. So I spent a summer at FAM, which gave me my first experience at like what an HBCU would be like. And I spent another summer at Alabama A&M. So I had a pretty good idea that I wanted to go to an HBCU. when I got to Tennessee State, I thought it was great because you had a mixture of, educated Black students and professors from different places with different different experiences, different understanding. My first roommate was from Chicago, and I was from, like I said, a small town Alabama. So we had a lot of different stuff to talk about. But what I loved about it was that everybody there, for the most part, was really trying to achieve something that they didn't really have a firm grasp of, but they wanted to do better. And the campus treated us and nurtured us and took care of us as we were going through those formative ages between 18 and 24. So it was a great experience. There was a lot of fun, a lot of learning and education from one another that we had, a lot of growing experiences that I don't know would have happened if I would have been at a different alternative school or program. So I really, really valued and appreciated the time that I had at Tennessee State.
I could say mine was forced. I was staying with my aunt here in Atlanta. She was working at Clark, and she was like, "You need to go get a business degree. You need to go, so you need to sign up." So it was pretty much forced. So, but I'm glad I did. I took some great classes, met some great people, and I can definitely say that having that business degree has definitely helped me in the realm of businesses that I have owned, by having my own IT consulting firm to now with the Whine. So it's been great.
Why do you think she made that suggestion? Did she see something in you that you had this business acumen?
Absolutely. I think my aunt has always seen me as someone who marches to the beat of my own drum, and pretty much knew that entrepreneurship was the thing for me. And she used to tell me that all the time when I was younger. So,
well, let's talk about your entrepreneurial endeavors then. As far as, did you make a full transition, gradual transition from, doing the IT and the nursing into entrepreneurship, or you're still working in that direction?
So with the IT, I've always done consulting. So most of the time I've pretty much worked for myself in an IT capacity. So I've done nothing but, it started out just doing contract work and then taking the certifications, getting into some of the major corporations like Duke Energy, Coca-Cola, AmerisourceBergen. So it was more healthcare IT because I had the healthcare background, and then venturing out to different other sectors. So that was kind of my start of, wait a minute, I make more money kind of pimping myself out as opposed to letting the major corporations or these other businesses, without the middleman, you're going to always make more money. So when I realized that, it was like always just on my own. And then I started doing contracts and setting myself out and selling myself to these major corporations to do major IT projects. Then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, IT is boring me. It's too hard. I'm always too busy. The hours are long because when you're running these projects, especially doing migration projects and stuff, the weekends, they're gone. And it's not fun on the weekend. So it was like, it's time to do the next chapter. And so I said to Ty when we met that for my birthday, he asked me, he said, "Well, what do you want to do for your birthday?" And I was like, "I really want to have my own wine." And he goes, "Say that again." And I was like, "I want my own wine. I want to go ahead and get this started and have my own wine." And we'd already spoke about it a few times. And he goes, "So no purse, no shoes?" And I'm like, "Nah, I want the wine." And so he, in that turn, a few days later, was like, "All right, here, I met a wine broker. Here you go. Let's get started." And so he pretty much called my bluff in it. So now it's just been full speed ahead with the Random Wine. So
cool. And we'll definitely spend more time on the Random Wine a little bit later. Ty, we sort of touched on you having a blossoming start to your career in engineering. Let's talk about how you eventually made it to Atlanta, and just how you continue to climb that ladder, and family life was booming, living the American dream, the whole nine.
Yeah. If I go back, like I stated earlier, after I got out of Tennessee State, I started working as an engineer for Rolls-Royce. And with Rolls-Royce, now what they do is they make aircraft engines, not the cars where I was at. So I was actually an aerospace engineer. And while I was there at Rolls-Royce early in my career, I got thrust into a position of leadership because of some reorganization and restructuring. So maybe after my first year as an engineer, as a design engineer, I had a small team of 5 other engineers who had been there for a while, but we had certain objectives that we needed to meet. And as I was going through this process, I was identified as what they call ECHIP, early career high potential engineer there. And they had a plan for me. And they left me in that design role for about 2.5 years, but they said we needed to move you around the company because we think you're going to be a future leader here. You have the demeanor, you have the approach, the mindset that we're looking for in order to develop you and allow your career to grow further. I got nominated for a Black Engineer of the Year award early on with the design that I made for some vanes for an engine that was a major cost reduction and really cut down some of the expenses that the company had. So it's making them money or saving them some money. But there was a lot that was going on during that time. While I was at Rolls-Royce, I went back to grad school and got my MBA. And that's where I first got some exposure to being closer to where the money is made. Because even though as an engineer, we're doing some cool things, but it's going to be always somebody from a business perspective that is going to control how much money is spent towards doing those cool things. So I realized that was going to be some skills that I needed to pick up and some understanding. So I went back to the University of Indianapolis while I was up in Indiana working that job. After about 7 years, I had started moving up in the company even more. And however, at the time, my former wife, Malika, she and I, we were at a crossroads in the sense that she was from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was from Alabama. We had been in Indiana for about 8 years, and we realized how cold it was up there. And not just that, we had a son a couple years before and realized that we needed to get him back closer to family. And we were starting to miss some of the things of the South that we had gotten accustomed to and thought it would be time to make a move and change things. So even though things were good in Indiana, it was just way too cold, and that brought the demeanor down as far as what we wanted to do. So about, I think it was 2009, started looking for other opportunities and moved down here to Atlanta. I got a job as a manager at an engineering company here and did that for a period of time. And I kept working in engineering roles with a couple of different companies here. And while I was here, I went back and got a master's degree in systems engineering. So I was continuing to educate or take opportunities of education while trying to grow my career as an engineer. So everything was going well. My wife at the time, she had moved into from being a teacher to being a higher education administrator to actually going into recruiting to actually going into HR, focusing on diversity and inclusion. So we were both moving up the ladder as far as our careers were concerned. Everything was moving along well until a couple of years ago, 2018, when everything changed after a certain vacation that we were planning to have following our anniversary. So, Troy, you're frozen on our end, man. We don't know.
I'm frozen.
Yeah. So I don't know if you need to pause, cut that out, but I just wanted to.
Can you see me now?
Okay, we see you now.
Okay. All right. So you was talking about the anniversary trip with Malika and how an incident happened, a tragic incident that changed your life forever. If you want to touch on it.
By all means. My life changed forever all of a sudden. As I was saying that we were actually celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary. And at that point, as I said, we were moving up in our careers and we were both traveling a lot for work. So she would be gone 1 week to Chicago or to Arizona and then come back. And then I would travel to wherever I needed to for my job. And so we were really looking forward to this vacation to be able to reconnect and, not have the hustle and bustle of things that were going on take place. So we planned to drop our son off with family and go away, the two of us, to the Bahamas for a 5-day vacation. And like I said, celebrate that 15th wedding anniversary. The first 2 days were great. We got to have some good food, some time on the beach, some great drinks. Everything was great. Third day, we chose to go on an excursion, a boating excursion, where we were going to tour the island. Woke up that morning, ate breakfast, got to the place where we need to get picked up. 9 o'clock, we were at the dock where we were actually getting ready to board the boat and start on that adventure. And at 9:05, everything changed. Everything seemed perfectly fine on the boat. It was a small boat. It was 10 passengers and 2 people who were working on the ship. Everything seemed great. All of a sudden, the next thing I knew, I was waking up face down on the surface of that boat and it was on fire. And at that point, it was a lot. There was a fuel tank that was underneath where we were sitting, and there was a leak that emanated from there that obviously we didn't know about, they didn't know about, but that's where the explosion sprang from. So as I was coming out of unconsciousness, I felt my right leg burning. It was on fire and I could see the fire and see the flames. I had no idea where Malika was, because when I came to, I was the only person still on that boat. I tried to push myself up, but I couldn't, because from the explosion, I was broken in so many ways physically. And by the grace of God, there was a second boat that took off at the same time that we did. And they weren't too far away from where we were, since we were only 5 minutes into the trip. So there were people who actually swam over from that second boat to come and save me as I was trying to pull myself away from the flames on that boat. The next thing that I remember, I was right on the back of a pickup truck being carried into this clinic. As I was being rolled into this clinic on a stretcher, I heard Malika. I could hear her yells and her screams that she was in pain. And at that point in time, I was praying to God as to, I'm hoping that she's okay. I still don't have a firm grasp of what happened. And even though I was in I was in a horrible state physically, all I was thinking about was her and how was she. Not too long after the doctor finally got to me, they told me that they were going to send me to a different hospital that could treat me and another patient. And as soon as I got there, they actually put me in the surgery to try to reattach my left foot. My foot had been severed and was dangling to where my ankle bone was exposed and I was bleeding. They just tried to put it back together. But at the time, they didn't realize it was infected. So it's caused infection to start running through my body. So as they did that and tried to pin my foot back to my leg, when I finally came out of surgery and came to, the doctors came into my room and I asked them, where was Malika? Where was she? Because at the clinic, they had told me that she was going to be coming afterwards. But then as I came to and the doctors came in, they stepped out the room and talked for a second before they came back in and told me that Malika had passed away. And so at that point, I was crushed. I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what was going on. I knew I was in physical pain, but I didn't realize, that she was taken away, that she was gone. That next morning, I had to call our son and tell him that your mom's not coming home. And that was a tough thing to have to break to him. At the time, he was 12 years old. No kid ever wants to hear that your mom went away on vacation and she passed away in a tragic accident. And then to make matters even worse, later that evening, as I was laying in the bed, I saw my vitals. I saw the EKG monitor above my head. And as I said, that foot that I had was infected, but they tried to reattach. was causing it to spread through my body, and my blood pressure, my heart rate, my oxygen levels, my fever, temperature were all red. And I remember laying there praying to God, thinking that this was going to be my last night that I was going to have on earth. I was going to die. So it took a great deal for me to spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and not even physically, but just to try to get through that moment. And also by the grace of God, there were things happening in the background because I had no control over these things, but they were working to get me brought over from the Bahamas to the US to a trauma center that would be able to actually treat me. So luckily that on that third day, I was put on an air ambulance. I was flown into Florida and put into emergency surgery. And that's where they had to take my left leg. Because they said if I would have stayed in the Bahamas 2 more days, I would have died for sure. 1 more day, I might have died. And so, because my vitals were getting bad. And after they took my leg, it was still uncertain if I was going to make it. But then the day after that, I had to go through 4 additional surgeries just to try to get the rest of my body stable and fix everything that was broken. So, I mean, physically, I went through a great deal before I was ever at a point to be able to, take a deep breath and pray and say that, God, you're going to keep me here for a reason. But this was 3 years ago, and I've come a long way since then. And that's where the purpose in my life actually kicked in. That day after those multiple surgeries, I knew God had something greater for me. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I could have been gone in that boating explosion. Could have been gone in that hospital in the Bahamas. Could have been gone after going through all those surgeries, but he kept me here. Even though I knew he took Malika home to a better place and didn't want her to stay here and suffer, I still had a life to live. And I knew that she would have wanted me to go forward and fight through these situations and be happy. And so that led to me moving forward with the process of recovery after going through such a traumatic thing. But that leads to what Reborn Resilient, where it sort of springs from. Because a part of me died that day going through all of that. I was reborn in a sense. And I had to come to grips with the fact that the life that I had and the normal that I knew before then was not going to be the life that I had going forward. And so I was reborn. And as I was going through my recovery, emotionally heal and recover and mentally get my mind back and to spiritually reconnect with God after being angry for a period of time, physically, just learning how to walk after not taking the step for 4 months with a prosthetic leg. It takes a lot to keep yourself motivated to want to get back into wanting to heal and wanting to be a good person, a positive person after so much trauma, so much tragedy, so much pain, so much suffering, and so many setbacks. But as I was going through those things, I was seeing the new future for where I needed to get to. Maybe it wasn't crystal clear, but I understood that what I was going through was going to be something that was going to help other people who were going through any other challenges or issues or challenges they were facing. So with that, that's sort of where the thought of Reborn Resilient came from. And maybe it was about 8 months after the accident. I started walking again a lot faster than what the doctors had thought. Emotionally, I was starting to grow and heal. And I was asked to speak in front of a group of people about just what it's like going through such a dire situation and coming through it. And even though it was extremely painful to do so, I could see the way it was benefiting and helping the others. And ever since then, that's what led to saying, okay, even though God is using me as a vessel, as a tool, I can take that and touch so many other people. So that's what Reborn Resilient is about, being able to help people accelerate their healing process and overcoming any type of traumatic situation, any type of setback, be it major or minor, and realize that no matter what state you're in, you can overcome whatever that is.
Okay. So you spoke about faith as far as helping you overcome the tragedy and, you adjusting to your new normal. Just talk about your support system, and at what point did Kaye sort of surface into that support system? Because because I definitely want to hear Miss BK talk a little bit. So yeah.
I tell you, it was I had to rely on people in ways I never thought imaginable. It's difficult, and it is sometimes it's extremely humbling to know that, you know, as a man, you're used to doing things, used to getting up, going, handling things whenever you want to, and to be in a state where you're helpless. Somebody has to push you around in a wheelchair, where you can't move, you can't get around on your own, that you need people to do everything that is needed for you to be able to function. That was an experience, and I had to. I tell you, I've got the best sister in the world, because she actually literally did what she needed to in order for me to still be here today. She came to the Bahamas. She was talking to people. She was trying to make sure that they got me out of that place where they pretty much were going to let me die there, and did things, or she took actions to ensure that if I was going to make it, that she was doing everything to see that it happened. So my family they were so integral in me still being here, because they provided that level of support. There were a number of friends who provided support in different ways. There were friends of Malika's who felt, you know, they definitely did things to help out, that took care of Cameron, our son, and made sure that he was as stable as he could possibly be. And at that point in time, it was getting closer time for school to start again, actually. And so for him, it was important to be able to try to get back to something that was sort of close to normal for him, to serve as a distraction. So we had some very good friends that basically took him in until I was capable of being able to be a parent again. So they treat him like he's their third child, which is great. And the community really did a great deal in order to, you know, provide food, to be there to give me someone to talk to when I needed it, to actually help me make appointments and things of that nature. So I had to learn to trust and take advantage of the help that other people were willing to provide in that situation, because I couldn't do much myself. So that was life for a period of time until I was able to get back on my feet again and actually when I was healing physically, starting to heal emotionally, and being able to move forward. I'm going to fast forward to how Kaye and I got together, because this was a year after the accident, and one of the things that I was doing, my Malika, she went to Tennessee State as well, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure that was done was get a scholarship endowment created in her name at Tennessee State. She valued education, thought that, you know, it'd be great to help students out. So I worked with the university to make sure that they got a scholarship created in her name. And during homecoming of 2019, I went back because, one, that was my first time seeing a lot of the people who had known about what happened, but actually wanted to, you know, lay eyes on me and see if I was okay. But two, I had to speak at the scholarship gala to get this scholarship officially part of the university's programs and scholarships. While I was there, there were some old classmates of mine who brought this young lady with them, apparently, to homecoming. And I knew all of her friends and spoke to the friends and all, but but somehow Kaye and we bumped into each other. And as I was, you know, during that weekend, and am I telling the story right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, you felt my booty.
So let me explain.
Am I allowed to tell the real story, Troy?
Give it to us raw.
Look and listen.
Raw and uncut.
So let me explain. So it was a party that was one of the first nights during the homecoming. And at the time, I was still getting used to my prosthetic leg trying to walk. And I was moving around, and there was a lot of people in this place. And there was this column that I was trying to, you know, weave my way in between. But it was hard for me to, you know, get my body right in order to get by. And then there was this lady, Kaye, she was right there, like not too far away from the column, and she was dancing. and she was moving. So it was like, it was gonna be real tight for me to try to fit through there without touching her. So I tried to move through, and I think at the moment I tried to move through, she started dancing back closer towards that column and happened to bump into me and everything. So I might have accidentally grazed her behind, but but when
I believe you. I believe you.
So she turned around, and I tried being a gentleman. I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I asked. I told you what to say.
Yes. Was I okay?
Were you okay? And she turned around and said, "I'm good." So I didn't know whether to take that.
That's for the story, like, that's, I don't know. That's where the blurred lines come in. Because I was like, oh, I'm good. And I turned around to one of my close friends, that's a very close friend is, and I said, girl, I just met my husband. And left it at that. And the next day, they kept asking, like, who was it? Who was it? We were in the top of the bleachers. I said, I'll be able to tell you when I see him again. Because we had no additional words that night. And I saw him walk out on the field, and I was like, that's him. And they were like, Tiran. I was like, I don't know what his name is, but that's gonna be my husband. And so they were like laughing, but no one told me anything. No one said anything to me. I knew nothing. We go down to the field. He's taking pictures with my friends. And I go, well, you got to take a picture with me too. So he pulls out his phone, he takes a picture. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to get it unless you take my phone number and send it to me. And so he's like, okay. And so he sends the picture. Of course, I see him sending the picture, but I never get the picture for a full 24 hours. So I'm thinking, okay, he's not interested. However, I'm getting text messages from this number that's like, hey, you having a good time? How you doing, Kaye? It's nice to meet you. I'm like, I don't know who this is texting me, because if it was the guy that I wanted to meet, I would see the pictures, so I would know it was him. So
it's I got an Android. She have an iPhone. Pictures just didn't go through in the chat.
They don't play well in the sandbox.
Yeah, they like to clown us Android users.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Like we're inadequate or something. But Kaye, I mean, I have to ask you this, because I've always been under the impression that as guys, we know instantly when we found our wives. So I didn't know that was the case for women as well.
You know, it sounds really weird. I'm a real spiritual person. Not religious, but I'm very spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I believe that God puts us in places always for a reason. And I have been going through this whole spiritual journey where I had been praying, like, make me be a good wife. Help me be the wife, the person that you want me to be, God, so I can be a good wife to a man. And I'm going to know. And I was meeting other people. It's just when he bumped into me, it sounds crazy, I literally felt something. And I know we joke about how he felt my booty. That's not what I felt. I'm just saying, you know, it was just something that was like, you have to know who that is. And I just was like, that's him. And literally after we really connected and exchanged phone numbers, we talked every day. We didn't miss a day without talking. And when he finally told me what happened, it wasn't even in a sense of, look, because he at least he told me that when he met me, he felt the same way, but he just wasn't sure because he was struggling with how he was feeling. But I told him, when he told me what happened, look, take your time. Let's just be friends and see where it goes, because you need time to heal. I can be your friend and I can be there. But when you get ready to date me, you're going to date me for marriage. So we're going to chill. We're going to be friends. You do whatever you got to do. But when you're ready to date me, just know that it's leading to marriage.
Well, Ty, talk about finding love again. Was it a challenge, within itself?
I'll say this. It was a challenge to find love. It was a challenge because coming from a place where, I thought I found the one for me in Malik, and that was taken away from me, to be able to open my heart up again and be able to give and receive love in the truest form. I didn't know if that was something that was going to be meant for me after everything that happened. So but it took a lot of growing and it took a lot of therapy to allow me to accept the fact that I've got to put, what I had with Malika, it was great and it was wonderful, but it came to an end and I have to move forward with life. And actually, I can reflect back to a conversation that Malika and I had. It was actually about a year before we went on that vacation. And we were having this conversation about what if something happened. And she said if something were to happen to her and she suddenly passed away, she wouldn't want me to grieve for too long, and that she would want me to go out and be happy and enjoy my life. And she told me that as long as I found a woman who would take care of the only part that would be left on this earth of her, which was our son, and treat him like he was her own, she would be fine. She would be happy. And it's crazy because I didn't think that would be possible, but Kaye has not only loved me in a way that I couldn't ever even dream, but she's loved my son as if he's been her son forever. And so that to me, that's remarkable. And that takes a special woman, a special person. And really, it takes a unique and special person to be able to deal with everything associated with, who I am as a widower. And there is a lot of emotional ups and downs that come along with that. And to be able to have the patience and the willingness to deal with everything associated with it is something that I can say special about Kaye. Because
peaks and valleys, and valleys.
Yeah. Salute to you, Kaye. Salute. So, Ty, just talk about the 6 turning point talks with Reborn Resilience.
Okay, well, with Reborn Resilient, there are several talks that I give as it relates to a couple of them related to individuals that I work with from a coaching and a helping them overcome the adversity that they're facing. And so the first one is that I talk about is Happily Ever Interrupted. And that is really for people who have gone through a severe loss of someone. It may be their spouse, significant other, it may be a parent, it may be a child. But when something like that happens, that leaves such a gaping hole in their heart. And the grief can cause you to be stuck and not really want to be able to move or do anything at all and move forward. So that's my talk that really goes into the depths of how it feels to have that grief and to not let that grief hold you hostage. And so you're able to still put the pieces of your life back together and get past it in a productive manner. Reborn Identity is another talk that's intended to be for those who may not have something so traumatic or severe, but they may be dealing with a divorce or maybe loss of a job or something that's causing them to have to make some transition in life. And they might have lost who they were in the midst of going through that crisis. So that's all about finding your most authentic self again and trying to be able to find that person and then get the purpose along with your purpose in order to figure out how you're going to move forward with the days beyond that. One of my other talks that I like to give to smaller groups and individuals is resilience support. And what that is intended for those who are doctors, who are medical professionals, who are therapists, who are life coaches of some kind, even sports agents who are actually providing support to people who are facing depression, facing some of these challenges of what they thought their identity was is not what it is anymore. People who are going through this type of loss. If you're a family member of somebody who's dealt with this and want to know how to get into the psyche of the people who are really going through that trauma, then that's what those talks are about. The other talks that I happen to have, they're more targeted towards providing keynote lectures to organizations. So it may not be directed towards a specific person who has a specific problem, but may be something needing to provide the inspiration that they happen to need in order to help motivate and inspire the team and the staff to basically get past the adversity that they may be facing, whatever might be holding them back, whatever might be stopping them from being as productive as they need to be. Look at it like this. I feel like if I've gone through what I've gone through and been able to get back on my feet, they should be able to do it too. And hopefully my talk gives them inspiration in those aspects, in those fashions. So some are focused more towards having an idea on what they're focusing on and trying to get to that goal. And other talks actually deal with when you don't have the focus and now trying to figure out where that focus needs to be and moving towards it. So that's where the resilient inspiration comes from. That's where the Reborn inspiration comes from. And the rest of my talks intended for groups and organizations.
Okay. And just give a quick plug of where we can find out more information.
You can find out about all of these talks and some of the things that I do as far as coaching, as far as with my book coming out, online programs. All of this is at rebornresilient.com. It's rebornresilient.com. And you can look up Reborn Resilient on Instagram, Facebook, and myself, Tiran Jackson, on LinkedIn. Okay,
cool. So, Miss Kaye, let's get back into the random whine. You mentioned earlier how Ty was instrumental in helping line you up with the right people in the wine industry to get your baby off the ground. Like, just talk about, first off, what's so random about your wine?
Well, the random wine was created to bring random people together with random conversation. I am a people person. I talk to strangers. The one thing we teach our kids not to do is what I do. I talk to everybody. And I will talk to anybody about anything. So part of it came from that. And then we did a play on the word wine, because me being the baby of the family, you know, it used to be like, oh my God, you're always whining. And it's kind of a joke between us, because what I do is I'm the playful one in our relationship. Like,
I can see that. I can see that.
You can't sleep around me, because if I can't sleep, nobody's sleeping. So I'm like pulling hairs and doing all this crazy stuff and like playing in his ear. And he's like, I just want to go to sleep. Or I'll have these random thoughts, you know, it's just like, hey, did you ever think about why? I won't say anything on your show, but just these random thoughts that I have sometimes. You know what I mean? So I asked a friend today, I was like, you know, have you ever thought to stop a person, these women, you know, we wear our wigs. Now I am addicted to weave, by the way. And I love wigs. I'm a hair person, but I do not like this baby hair stuff. I'm like, after a certain age, you should not have baby hair, and it should not come with a wig. So I just called my friend up on the phone, and I was like, you know, I'm having trouble today because I can't get past this baby hair and the wig thing. And she's like, really? That's what you want to talk about? I was like, I'll call you later over wine and we'll just talk about it.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, that's just how my brain works. It's just.
Can I quickly say it's Ashanti's fault?
Yeah, you know what? You might be onto something.
Yeah,
you might be onto something. I'm going to research that, because you might be right. So, but, you know, for me, the random wine was supposed to be fun. I, 5 years ago, was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. And so I am a breast cancer survivor, bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction surgery. I saw your pink earlier, and I was going to ask about it. So
yeah, it was intentional. It was intentional.
Thank you.
Sure.
And with that, it was just like, this phase of my life, this chapter needs to be fun and lighthearted. I've dealt with all the seriousness, I think, that life has thrown at me. And having a 20-year-old son myself, understanding that he could have at one point been without me, I think is why it made it easy to come into Cameron's life and be able to love him, because I knew that, I mean, that could have been Jalen. very well to be without his mom. So for me, having the random wine allows me the opportunity to spend not 5 years of my life crying, upset, wondering if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. Because you know how everybody says, give me my flowers today, give me my wine today. So the random wine was created with wine that you can drink right now. Because I don't need you to give me wine that I gotta put on the shelf and age for 5 years because my tomorrow is not promised. So that was the whole premise behind it. And so I just have a lot of fun with it. And that's what it's supposed to be.
So based on what you just said, do you enjoy random wine conversations more with yourself or with others?
Oh, I love them with others. Like this is my random wine. Like
random wine.
this is
we have random conversations
about anything. But I have a talk show, so I actually have guests come on, and we just talk about random things, and it can be serious, but we find the light in it. And sometimes I notice that I've had guests that flip it back on me and start asking me the questions, and I'm like, ho. You know, I just recently had a guest that really asked me some embarrassing questions that I just wasn't ready for.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. It's fun. I'm very transparent, and you know, that's just who I am as a person. But I enjoy talking to people about whatever. So the moral of the story is, or I guess the premise of the show is all about just, you know, we all have stuff that's in us that's bottled up. So being able to laugh about it, talk about it, because if you can't laugh at yourself, you're no fun. That's how I feel. Yeah. If you cannot laugh at yourself, you are no fun.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes people just want somebody to talk to, and whether it's me or somebody else, but you know, it's not a stuffy show where we're gonna have a bunch of famous people or, you know, people it's like random people, random conversation.
Yeah. So where can we see or hear the show?
Well, currently we will be airing the show on YouTube. Everything will be it'll be on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. It was www.therandomwine.com, and it's always wine with an H. And on our whole handle for everything is The Random Wine. And we potentially may be on a major network coming up. We did get an offer. I won't say too much about that, but we'll probably be on a major network, hopefully in the fall, if we meet our deadline.
Nice.
If I meet our deadline.
We got work to do, but
it's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So The Random Wine, you currently have two wines for sale. You have the Pinot Grigio,
have a red and a Pinot Grigio, correct. Okay. So, and we are hoping to embark on our next varietal coming soon.
Red Random Wine.
The red blend.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff.
He'll be talking random blend.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, he's getting warmed up for later on with the random conversations.
We're gonna have some random conversations.
The kicker to this whole wine thing is that, and recently Ty sent me to an Eric Benet concert. Really, he was supposed to go with me. However, he was ill and couldn't go. So I ended up going with a girlfriend, and I gifted the wine to Eric Benet. He actually tasted it on stage.
I saw the video.
Red was 12.5% alcohol, which is everybody's like favorite thing about this wine. However, you can drink the whole bottle. Not that I would recommend it, unless you're at home.
Uh-huh.
And like you wake up with no headache. It's smooth. It's easy. It's just a great wine that you can drink, you know, at any time. So both are. You know, the Pinot Grigio was something that we picked because I like whites that are really light and crisp, especially in the summertime. Mm-hmm. So that's why we started out with those two. So.
Okay. So I guess the main question is, did you have Eric Benet slurring words to femininity, or I want to be loved, or Georgie Porgy?
He didn't slur a word. He did
Okay.
some great singing, and for 2 hours, he definitely drank the random wine and he sang for 2 hours, and even brought up the fact of having a cannabis and CBD infused wine. So, hey, I'm here for it. If that's who he wants to partner with, is me, I'm here for it. But I will say this: he is definitely down to earth and a godly, good man, because that could have went so many ways wrong. But to see a celebrity of his status want to see somebody small like me grow and be successful, that's a big deal, and it means a lot. So I think I'm still on that high. I'm gonna be on that high for probably 6 months to a year, if that.
I would be too, because it looked like in the video he was real comfortable, didn't have his shoes on.
Oh yeah, that's how he wrote. But see, you only got the clip, right? You saw the Okay, so I had other people there that knew me that were sending me videos. So we got 2 hours worth of footage, and we just chopped that little piece up. Oh, he made jokes. He's really funny because, so it was definitely a treat for me, because I was bugging him about that concert, and I was like, I only want to be in the front. And then for 2 days, I was like, I'm going to take him to wine. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take him to wine. No, I'm not going to do it. Then finally, I was like, I'm just going to put it in my bag. I'm going to put it in a gift bag, and I'm going to ask him to taste it. And it just worked out, out of your mouth into God's ears, and then it's delicious.
Cool. So just talk about the dishes that your wines pair best with.
So the dishes that we're not even eating right now, and we're.
So if I could talk about
he's the cook. He's more of the cook. Go ahead.
I think that the red blend, that it pairs well with different types of meats, red meats. Like with steak, it goes great. With lamb chops, it's delicious. With Italian food, it goes great.
With your lasagna.
With my lasagna, it's a great pairing wine with that. As far as the Pinot goes, the Pinot is good with like sauteed vegetables, or with something that's like with chicken, I think, or fish. I think those things are most ideal to drink the Pinot. But the Pinot is when I think of the Pinot, I think of it as just being a crisp, refreshing drink. I wouldn't necessarily look for it to pair with the meal. You can just sit back and drink that Pinot on a nice, beautiful day, and with the sun out, and while it's.
You got to put a handle on Pinot. You got to say Pinot Grigio.
I'm sorry, the Pinot Grigio.
So people don't think it's a Pinot.
It's not a Pinot Noir. It's a Pinot Grigio. Right. But yeah, it's crisp. It's refreshing. It's got a nice sweet taste to it, but not too sweet. But it's intended for the spring and the summertime. You can just drink that. But if I did have to pair it with some food, I would do it with like a light fish or a chicken.
It's great with salads too. So I like having it when I'm having a nice crisp salad, fresh salad.
Okay, cool. Couple more questions before we close out. Just talk about the never-ending hustle of getting the random wine into like liquor stores and bars and restaurants, and where can we find it currently?
Well, currently you can find it by calling me and asking me or DMing me, because it's the Department of Revenue. So we're not in the stores yet. However, we're coming soon. So we've basically been doing a lot of sponsorships. We have a big breast cancer event coming up September 19th that we're going to sponsor. And have the wine at. So, and of course, at our own engagement party, we're going to have the wine there. The process is tedious. This is a old white man's game. And to be African-American and be a female, it's tough. There's a lot of red tape to go through to get through this process, from the winery to the varietal to all the paperwork, the licensing, TTB, because, you know, everything is federally regulated. So right now, that's kind of where we're at with that. But I will say that we've done so well in promoting the Random Wine that we've actually had other wineries out in Southern California, other vineyards and wineries actually reach out to us to ask us if we would add a varietal from their winery to our brand. So to me, that's great. So if anybody knows anybody at the Department of Revenue that they can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, get that Random Wine out there, you know, that's great. So moving forward, we plan to, you know, have our own sales team, and they'll be, you know, pushing it out to the major liquor stores and grocery stores and things like that. But a lot of that right now I've been doing because I actually enjoy that part of it. I go, I meet with the restaurant managers, the bar managers, and I'm like, let's taste. And we just have a good time. I enjoy that part. So,
well, you're a New Yorker, so I kind of expect that.
And one other thing now, we will say this, is that we're finishing up everything with the website and online presence. So you'll be able to order it online. We're trying to, pre-sale we'll be able to do from the website, but also we're trying to have online distribution as well. So someone, even though we're in Atlanta, they may be in Texas or somewhere, or California or Washington, and they'd be able to order it and get it shipped to them. So we're trying to get that taken care of by November timeframe or so, where we'd be able to ship across the country.
All right.
And I can tell you that I believe in this wine so much that the next stage of what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking some, because I feel like I know wine pretty well, that I'm really going to take some big brands and we're going to like cover the label up and cover the Random Wine label up and do some random tastings.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do them by mobile phone so I can catch and get some real feedback.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know.
So Kaye, you was talking about how the wine industry is primarily run by the good old boys. But I met Ty recently at the Santi Wine and Spirit Festival in Atlanta with other minority-owned wine and spirit makers. Just talk about that experience and how it was a breath of fresh air to be around kings and queens with similar stories.
Can I just say, don't you just love Shala, by the way? I absolutely love her. Like, she's amazing to have put that together. Her and her team, they did a great job. Now, many people will probably think that we don't like each other because of the stereotype. However, Camilla from Ebony Wines and Nicole from her wine, we're all like friends. Like, we talk and we try to help each other. Like, if we run into a roadblock with it, we're actually out here with our own little group text and our Zoom meetings trying to help each other. So we're in that stage, but you can tell them about the festival because I actually missed it.
Yeah, and see, this is one of the conflicts that we're having. We're starting to get to where Kaye has to be in one place for something with the wine, and we'll have to do. I have to be somewhere else with it. So that was a situation where it would have been great for her to be there, but she had her own wine function that she had to host that same day.
Troy, so that's where the hashtag wine babe comes in. This is my hashtag wine babe right here.
I mean, but that's what love is all about, supporting each other and being each other's cheerleader.
And really, that's one of the beautiful things I think about our relationship. We do everything we can to support each other and support us, our visions and our dreams. We have this mantra that we use. It's called BOLD, Building Our Love Daily, and that's something that we want to be intentional with regards to what we're doing as we move forward into the next level of our relationship. But back to being at the festival, I thought it was great to be able to see other African-American owned spirits and wines and people who have gone through similar struggles actually getting past that initial red tape and being able to have a product that they can actually put their name behind, put their brand into, and really be able to put it out there for people to see. I think that it's been imperative for us to make sure that people know that there's other wines out there other than the Moscato and the Riesling that Black people produce and can drink. And so I think that it was great to get feedback from other vendors who have already been in the game for a while. It was good to be able to try and sample other things, and actually just to be able to see people living out their dream. It had to be somebody starting somebody's dream at one point to create some of these products and be able to put it out there to the world. So to see that those people look like us and are willing and have had some success is encouraging for everything that we're doing, and we hope to be trailblazers for others that are wanting to get into that same industry.
Because you know what? Truth be told, everybody else is looking out for everybody else. This is the year for us brown people, to grow and to move and to start supporting each other. So don't be surprised if in the near coming future you start seeing more African-American owned ABC stores. That's what they call them in North Carolina. I throw everybody off when I say that. Liquor stores, wineries that carry nothing but African-American owned wine and spirits. And we got to start doing better as a community of supporting each other and building that up. Because for me now, I'd rather go support somebody that looks like me, knowing the process, honestly, to go support somebody that looks like me, because I know the red tape and the hell that they've been through to get to that point. So.
And if I want to get a little deeper into it, that's how we start improving our socioeconomic statuses. We're able to hire more people who look like us to do certain things in order to grow our businesses, grow our neighborhoods, grow our communities, and be able to do something other than some of the things that people may be doing in order to survive. So I see it from a lot of aspects that it's definitely beneficial. I mean, and people enjoy wine. People enjoy to have a good time. And I see nothing, and other people have been making millions off of this for a year, for decades. So yeah, why not us? So
Exactly. So Ty and Kaye, this has been an amazing story of faith, resilience, love, finding each other, at a random party at Tennessee State homecoming, and, accidentally grazing on a derriere.
It was an accident. It was an accident.
It depends on how much wine he's had, whether or not it's an accident.
and having Eric Benet drunk in the middle of his concert, This is fun. So before I let you both go, feel free to plug your socials, any upcoming events or projects, and then leave us with some parting shots.
All right. Well, I'll go first. That's okay. Check out my first book that's being released later this fall, but it's out for pre-sales right now. Choosing Resilience is the title. You can go to choosingresilience.net, or you can also go to Reborn Resilient to find out more about it. So rebornresilient.com. As I stated, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook under Reborn Resilient, or reach out to me personally on LinkedIn as under Tiran Jackson. It's Tiran Jackson. For anything related to Reborn Resilient, I'm putting together my online platform. And like I said, this is a lot of things going on. A couple of keynotes coming up later this year. So just trying to get out there to be able to share my story or share our story and touch more people in the world. So.
Yeah, for me, you can just go to @TheRandomWhine, and that's Whine with an H, at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow us and go to the website, www.therandomwhine.com, and go ahead and join the mailing list, and you'll be able to see where we're going to end up next, as far as tastings and things. However, we do have a big event. If you can support Brunch in the Blush, that is a huge breast cancer event that's happening September 19th, that we're going to sponsor the wine there. Only because that's near and dear to my heart. I want to be a part of that. So that's a big event, and look for the wine to be on the shelves and be able to purchase it online, hopefully mid to late September. That's what we're looking at. As for the show, just be on the lookout. We're going to be pushing it out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be funny. We're going to cry. We're going to laugh, but it's just going to be a lot of fun, because ultimately I love to live and live to love. So that's where I'm at.
Beautiful.
And I think that's something that we as a party, statement, we have a strong love towards one another. And, we have an engagement party that we're planning for, and a soon to be.
We can invite everybody to that.
So I say this to say that Kaye ain't gonna be my fiance for too much longer at all. So we're growing our relationship towards marriage, as well as our families, as well as what we're doing collectively business wise. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and hopefully it can encourage and inspire other people out there who are thinking that they can't find love, or they can't find that partner, or that they got to do all this work by themselves. No, we support each other. We love and encourage each other in everything that we do. And we plan to continue to keep moving strong. So,
like I said, this story has been inspiring. When you shared it with me and Joy at the festival, we were both, not a dry eye amongst us. And I just had to get you on to share the story. And it's glad to meet you, Kaye, because
I'm happy to meet you as well.
She was the reason we met each other. So
yeah, so I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to be a guest on the Random Wine Talk Show, because
you ready for that? You ready for that, Troy?
Trust me, I've done the Good Old Boys for 11 years, so I've had all kinds of conversations, so I can handle it.
All right.
But like we said, continue to support Tiran Jackson with Reborn Resilient, and support Kaye Ellis as well with the Random Wine. And for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for checking us out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more great content. And don't forget to check out our website at GOB Radio Network.com.